Here's some of the amethyst parcel I got. And these are a great color, and they're all clean material. I've looked through almost every one and I can't find any inclusions, cracks, or anything like that at all. So now I just have to make a choice on which one I want to cut. Since this is going to be a square stone, a cushion cut, I'm going to look for something that's, you know, kind of square already and try to maximize my yield. And here's one right here I'd seen earlier. This is the one I'm probably going to cut because it's kind of squarish anyway. Not the greatest on the pavilion end of it, but we've got one high spot on this corner, but it still should make a nice stone. I should probably get about a 10 millimeter stone out of this, like 10 by 10, I would think. Maybe that would be 4 or 5 carats, probably. I'll take another closer look at this with a light here. The color saturation's pretty nice too on this material. It's really a nice, these are nice grape colored pieces of amethyst. This is some of the nicest material I've seen lately. So it's very nice stuff. It's going to probably make a nice gemstone. I'll probably do a little bit of preforming on this, probably out on my cabochon machine. Square it up pretty nice. So I'll do that, and I'll probably put this will be my table area, so I'll flatten that out real nice and rough it up. When you attach your dop stick, you always want to have your stone roughed up and flattened out. You know, I could probably use super glue or some epoxy and put it right to this and it would probably work, but it's not worth taking a chance to do that. It's always rough up your stone and make your clean your dop sticks well with acetone or alcohol. Okay, I've done a little preforming on the stone. Got it fairly squared off. Worked on the pavilion area a little bit. I'm just going to do the flattening of this top for the crown area on the faceting machine with a flat lap. Because of the wheels, you know, on the cabbing machine won't give you a true flat surface. You can get close. But to do this for the dop, to make a nice flat surface, I'm going to put on the faceting machine here. And I'm starting off with my 600 crystallite faceting disc here. And I'll grind that by hand. Get some water going. And if I can keep hold of it, we can grind it. Usually I end up losing grip and it goes down around the bottom down here and I have to fish it out. Usually that's with the small ones. This pretty good size. I think I can hang on to it okay. Okay, let's see what we look like here. Yeah, we're getting there. Got the big shiny spot still that's deeper than the rest, so I'll do some more grinding on it. Let's See how we look. Drying it off there. Let's see. Probably needs a little bit more. Okay, let's see here. That's good enough. Turn the water off. All right, I've kind of got a dopping aid here. I guess you could call it a targeting dop. It actually is just to hold your stone into place while you do your dopping. This is made up by Tom Mitchell, and here's his website, mitchelljewelrystudio.com. And these are real handy. It's a silicone putty that's heat resistant. My stone here. Press it into the putty. Try to get it level. Now I can still shift it around till I get it positioned correctly. Now we've got to decide which dop we're going to use. And this one looks a little bit big. That's an 8mm. I think a 6mm will be fine. So that's what I'll use one of these 6mm. Okay, I've got my dop that I chose. 6mm flat dop. I've got my stone centered right where I want it. So take the dop down to where I can check that I'm pretty darn nicely centered here. And I'm going to use epoxy glue on this today. Usually I dop with wax first, but most people don't, so I'm showing you how I do it with epoxy on the initial dopping. Okay, I'll get that mixed up. I use this J&B Clearwell 5-minute epoxy. Slide your dop stick down against the stone, and then you can, if you have a locking transfer jig like this, the sliding block locks, you can do that. And that looks good. Nothing really moved while we were centering it up. Some more epoxy on it, around it. Don't worry about using too much epoxy on this because you really want a good strong joint there. Okay, there we go. Now I've got to keep moving it around until it sets up a little bit, because it'll tend to run off. It's not so bad usually on the initial dopping, but when you do your transfer, you don't want it running all over your girdle that you've cut and polished, because it's going to be hard to see where you're at when you start to cut the crown. I've set my index at 96, and I've got my stone set correctly in the dop, in the quill, I should say, and tightened down, and I'm ready to start cutting. That's how we're looking so far. We got to cut to a temporary center point. So I'm going to make a culet point here after I've cut all the way around. We now have our center point formed, our culet point tip right there. And this is temporary. It's going to be cut over later by other facets. But you still want to do a perfect job in getting the meets correct. It looks pretty rough now. I don't have the girdle cut yet, and I haven't squared up the stone yet, so looks kind of bad, but that'll all be straightened out in the coming facets here soon. I'm set up at 90-degree angle here so I can cut these girdle facets. So we'll get started here. Get the water going. You don't ever want to start on a dry lap. It's always best to get the water spread out on it. And I need a little sponge in there to help soak up the excess water that slings off the lap. Okay, we're set on the right index. Turn it down some more. I finished the girdle facets, and I just cut those with 3000 on the zinc lap, so they're pre-polished to 3000, ready for final polish. Couple more sets of facets to go on this pavilion, then I can polish it all. See one little inclusion there, but that's going to be cut away. That won't be anything to worry about. There was some real slight color zoning I saw when I turned it like this, but it's not going to give me any problems. Finished stone should be really nice. It's really hard to see, but when I turn it just right, you can see a little area of lighter purple. Okay, on to the next step. I'm using a dark side lap with cerium oxide to polish this gemstone. This lap is, from what I understand, it's a composite, and it is powdered zinc, I believe, I heard. But it works very well for quartz. Finished the final polishing, and the next step will be the transfer to a different dop stick. I'll use epoxy glue to glue a new dop stick onto this stone, and this dop stick that I'm using that's attached to the stone right now will be removed, and I'll be able to cut the top of the stone, the crown. Here we have our transferred stone. The glue is set up. I'm ready to remove this dop here, the one I started with, and I'll just do that by heating this dop over the alcohol lamp here, and that will heat the glue joint and loosen that dop stick. Okay, I've got the dop separated, got my dop stone back into the quill of the machine here. I'm ready to get started. Cutting the crown here. Got my 600 Crystalite diamond lap on the machine, ready to go. Okay, I'm beginning my first set of facets at 36 degrees. I've gone around the stone one time. Still got a thick girdle, so I need to go down some more. And once I get this girdle close to where I want it, the thickness of it right here, I will change to the 1200 lap and continue on with it. Okay, you can see the difference of the 1200 lap finish on this side and the 600 over on this side where I haven't used it yet. It's leaving a nice polished, kind of a polished finish there with just the 1200. I've about got my thickness on my girdle right there. I'm cutting down. Whoops. I'm cutting down to my correct thickness. I'm almost there. And then I will go on around the rest of the stone and get all of these facets at the same depth. So I'll continue on. I've finished cutting these facets on the crown. And I'm going to move on to polishing now, because these all also been pre-polished with 8000 grit. I went straight from 1200 to 8000 grit, pre-polished. I'm ready for the final polish now. Okay, using this dark side lap and the cerium oxide bat stick, I finished the polishing. And I'm ready to cut the table now. Okay, I've got my 45 degree adapter on. I'm ready to start cutting the table. Final polishing the table here. I think we're just about done here. Okay, I've taken the stone off the dop stick, cleaned it up real good, and here's what we have. Okay, let's weigh the gemstone. 5 carats.